Alright then, you little cherubs. I thought I'd give you guys like some tips on like how to make your beats a lot more unique. These are tricks that I use in every beat. Oh, it's getting boring. It's not actually that boring. I mean, like where I'm living at the minute is the nicest place ever. Like you can see from the surroundings, like everything is just so like isolated and like quiet. So but yeah, I've got a few things to finish off today. If you guys saw the last video, I told you that I might have some potential work with Cymatics. They actually want me to make for them. They want me to make loops. They want me to make drum kits and, you know, drum loops. Super stoked about that. It's just like some nice like supplementary income, you know, just whilst I'm selling beats and doing YouTube and stuff like that. So if you guys haven't seen already, the Artemis drum kit is out. It's available. Over 200 sounds, a ton of loops. It took me a very long time to make this drum kit, so I hope you guys like it. I priced it the same as the Uncharted drum kit, and you get like over double the sounds for it. So hopefully, you know, it's worth your money. Yeah. Out. No doggies allowed in here. Out, out, out. Alright then, you little cherubs. I'm going to try and do like a mixture of tutorials now. Like I'll do predominantly beat selling tips and advice, which I'll continue to do, but a few of you guys still ask questions about like, you know, FL Studio stuff and beat making. So I just thought like the two of those kind of go hand in hand. You know, you need good beats to sell them. So, you know, give you both, you know, give you best of both worlds. So yeah, I thought I'd kick things off and plug my laptop in before it dies. I thought I'd give you guys like some tips on like how to make your beats a lot more unique. These are tricks that I use in every beat, and they just sort of allow you to get that kind of realistic but trap vibe at the same time. You know, you want that kind of you want kind of best of both worlds. So most of these are like melody orientated, but there's a few in there that kind of like you can apply to anything. So yeah, let's dive into it. Tip number one. I've mentioned this in a previous video. I didn't really kind of like speak too much on it, so I'll go into detail with it. And it's basically it's kind of in like two steps. So the first step is to layer up the melody. So like, for example, with this beat, I have this initial melody. Okay, and obviously you want to add a layer to that. So for this trick, you want to add some kind of like thin sounds, you know, some kind of plucky harp or like a guitar or like a mandolin, just something that's going to sit behind that initial melody. So I just went with like a, you know, like a harp type instrument. It sounds like this. Okay, and you can probably see now from my screen, but like the thing that you want to do with the layer as well as layering it is add these chops in, and the reason why it works so well with like the thinner sounds like the mandolins and the ukuleles and harps and stuff like that is it gives you like this kind of oriental sound to it. I'm really liking that sound at the minute, but it just works well. I don't know why, it just works well. So like if you add these little chops in, if you hold control and, you know, just select the note, you know, just select a random note that you know, just something that's kind of long that, you know, isn't prominent in the melody. Select one of those keys and just hit Alt and U. So you get this screen. You can play, I normally go between these two. I go between the 1, 2, 3, third knob and the fourth option, you know, any of those two. Anything too fast is going to sound way too like, you know, glitchy. So yeah, it makes like a huge difference. So yeah, this is what it sounds like, you know, all together. Okay, just, you know, just little subtle things, and it just makes like a huge difference to the overall, like, you know, sound of the melody. One extra thing is if you look down at the velocity as well, you want to randomize it, maybe drop it a little bit quieter so it's, you know, sat further in the background. And yeah, you just play with it. You know, you might have to just play with a few different notes just to see what, you know, sounds right, but eventually you'll get a cool sound like this. The next tip, and I'm sure a lot of you guys probably know this, but if you don't, then you can pretty much use this on any sound. Don't use it on a melody because you can't, but for any percussion or 808 or effect that you're going to put in the beat, come to this out knob. I've used it on the 808 in this beat. And kind of drag it out. What happens is like it just shortens and tightens up the sound a bit. So if you've got like a faster up-tempo beat and you really want that short, snappy 808 or, you know, snappy clap, then you can just drag this up and it kind of tightens up that sound. You know, you may have a sound that you wanted to use, but you just think like it's too loose, you know, and you just do that, it kind of solves a lot of problems for you. So that's tip number 3. So this is like what it sounded like prior, and then after. It's very, very slight. You probably can't even hear it through the mic. It's a real slight adjustment, but it just makes a huge difference. It just kind of adds a little bit more space for the rapper or the singer to do their thing on. Okay, now tip number 3, and this is a paid tip, but you don't need a huge budget for this, is especially in 2020, vocal chops are so good in beats. Like they just turn them into something else completely. You can just go ahead and download, you know, vocal samples from YouTube and all that kind of stuff. It's free, that's a free way of doing it, but you know what it is. It takes time to find the right things. Then you've got to find the key of the thing, and then you've got to find all the right notes and all that kind of stuff. So the best way to go about it, if you've got a super low and tight budget, then I'd recommend getting Trap Soul. This plugin, where is it? This plugin here, because it's got all of these vocal samples, and you just play them in the key and it plays it in the right key. You know, you don't have to worry about, you know, finding the right key first and then messing with the sample. You know, it takes care of all that for you. This is super cheap. I got it for $5, I think, from the website. It's normally like $20, so even if it's not on offer, it's super cheap. That's one way to go about it if you don't have, you know, a decent budget. If you have a tiny bit more of a budget and you can keep up with the payments, I'd really recommend getting Arcade, because, I mean, it's $10 a month, so you're only paying $5 extra for this one. And, like, as well as vocal samples, they have so much. Like, this Hooked pack is, like, the main one for vocal samples and chops. It has all of these different packs, so, like, each one of these is a pack, and then you come to the play section and you play that whole pack. So it's got absolutely tons, you know, unique sounds. You can record them into Edison, chop them up, change them if you want them to make them even more unique. But honestly, it's so worth the money. You know, not only that, you've got like, so that's the Hooked pack. Yeah, that's the Hook line. You've got all of these as well, like bass lines, you know, like glitchy sounds, like there's tons in there. But anyway, back to the original point. Vocal sounds and vocal chops are like key. So I've added them into this beat. If you listen here, solo the melody, and just listen to like how much life it gives to the melody when you just add simple vocals in. Okay, that's without any vocals. You put that vocal chop in. So much better, so much better. Okay, so that is tip number 3, I believe. To get those vocal sample banks in there, they're incredible. And the last tip is to add, I'm going to call it a pre-key. So going back to tip number 1, where I said you need to layer the melody on top of the initial melody with some kind of thinner sound. What you can do, if you've got like a kind of melodic part of the melody as part of that prominent melody, is you can come into that layered sound. Okay, so if you take a look right here, E, C, D, B, you know, this little section here, there's that like little trickle down back to B. So, okay, it goes down like that. What you can do is add like a pre-key. Instead of having that trickle down happen at the same time as the initial melody, what I sometimes do is just knock that back a bar, like there or like there, and it just kind of adds like a little bit of extra bounce to the melody. You know, it's kind of like I don't know, let me just play it and I'll show you guys what it sounds like. So this is initially, you might have to listen quite closely, but I'll turn it up. Okay, hear it there. Pay attention to that C note. Okay, it's quite subtle, but what I'm going to do now is drag it back. I'm going to put it here. Okay, so it's slightly earlier. Play it with the initial melody. Okay, I mean, it really is hard to tell, but I promise you, it really does add like an extra bit of bounce to the melody, makes it a bit more unique. And if you're sending loops out, that's what people want. They want unique loops. So yeah, that's kind of like a bonus tip. But yeah, just if you have any like melodic parts of the beat, go into your layered sound, go into your layered melody, and just drag some of the keys back a tiny bit, and maybe turn them down a bit, just to is kind of like pre dives into that part of the melody. I don't know how to explain it, but try it for yourself, and you'll see what I mean by it.